Oh, hi. Little bit of a background change today. That's because we are not doing a makeup tutorial again. I know, it's weird. But I told you I do things that aren't makeup. And today is one of those days. And I kind of felt like talking. So yeah, sorry about that in advance. But this one might be fun, I swear. Let me just also, in this video, randomly address, I know I keep looking off to the side because my viewfinder flips, but I want to keep checking to make sure it's in focus because I wear glasses, my vision is really bad. So I'm always kind of trying to determine, is it me that's out of focus or is it my eyes just not focusing there? And anyone who's ever filmed with glasses on, you know the glare is just super annoying, so that's why I don't film with them on. Maybe one day, and maybe if I decide not to be lazy, I'll get contacts as well. Anyway, so I'm sure you can tell by the title of the video, we're doing a horror tag. Because horror, why wouldn't you want to know about it? What I'll do is I'll have the questions at the bottom, so the entirety of the answer, that way you know what I'm talking about. So if you wanted to get to a specific question, it's just way easier to skip ahead. So yeah, let's do this. I know I saw quite a few when I was younger, and I have a good memory and I have a bad memory. And I'll start with the good memory, and like the earliest one I remember watching was Species. And I remember just being kind of like, what am I watching? Because it's a really random horror movie, kind of. But I remember watching that, and it's kind of I don't know if it was the first one I saw, but it's definitely the most prominent memory of a horror movie that I have. And I remember just watching the scene where she she reaches through the bathroom wall and grabs that that girl's spine and like just rips it out, and I just remember just being like, how do you do that? Why? What? You know, kind of thing. And it was just kind of amazing. More so, it's like, how did that happen? Kind of thing. And it just kind of fascinated me. I was been kind of hooked on them ever since, and just the whys and hows and ins and outs of horror movies. One of the earliest horrible memories that still get me to this day is I watched, and I didn't realize I was watching it at the time, was Puppet Master. And I can't remember which one, but it was the one with the clown doll that had the drill for a head, like a hat. And this guy is in bed and the clown doll climbs up on his chest and just starts drilling into his head. And I was already afraid of dolls and clowns and everything before. And then I saw that and I was like, yep, I'm terrified. I remember sleeping in a pillow fort for the next 3 nights. I believe I slept with, like, in my mom's bed. I think my dad was deployed, and I remember, I think I was like, Mom, I'm gonna sleep with you. Because I was horrified. And to this day, I just will not watch a Puppet Master movie. That's a hard question because I would ask you a question in return, as in which genre, what era. You know, and it's just kind of, it's a hard question to answer because it kind of goes with my mood of what I'm into at that time period. I have so many favorites for different reasons, I can't fathom picking just one. I would say, damn, that's hard. Favorite, I can give you a list of movies that I will never say no to watching, and that is The Shining, The Exorcist, Poltergeist, the original, and Aliens. And Hellraiser. I will never say no to watching any of those movies. It just depends on what genre are we talking about, and maybe I'll get into other genres in other videos because I think that would be really fun. Oh my gosh, I have not read these questions before this, because I wanted to be like, off the top of your head, what are things? So the next question actually is kind of funny. I love supernatural, psychological horror. Even though some of my favorite franchises revolve nothing around that, I will never get tired of a good possession movie. And it's so hard to come across a good possession movie. And I feel like if they're done well, they are beautiful pieces of art. And if they're done horribly, they are gimmicky and laughable, and they're just kind of a good ride, you know? And I will never say no to a good possession film, but I do love me some 80s slashers too. I love slashers. I think the message that 80s slashers gave to us was phenomenal and funny and educational, I guess. But yeah, I will never just have one, I guess. The last horror movie that actually scared me, that's hard. I don't remember the last time being actually scared by a horror movie, and I mean, when I say like I'm scared by a horror movie, I mean like I carry that with me. Like, in the moment, even if you love horror, if there's a jump scare or something like that, then yeah, of course, and I don't really count those as being scared by a horror movie. But I feel like fear of a horror movie is what goes with you afterwards. Like, what fear do you carry because of this movie? And it's been a while since that's actually happened. And I feel, and it was a long time since I've seen it, and it's kind of a horror movie in the sense that it's real, but what happens is horrific, and that's Funny Games. And I saw the American one, and I know I have not seen the original, which I believe is German, but I saw the American version of Funny Games, and one, it's amazing, and it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, but that one really made me uncomfortable for a long time because it's so totally possible. And I think that's what gets me, that's kind of what scares me in films, or kind of what makes me uncomfortable after I watch them, is if it's possible. So that kind of film, yeah, I carried that one with me for a few days afterwards, definitely. Oh, that's hard. There's so many. Well, I guess not so many. Scream queens are usually the damsels in distress at first, but they've kind of evolved in who do we see as the heroines of horror, and that's kind of how I see it now. And when I think of horror and women, of course I think of Linda Blair and Sigourney Weaver, who I think might be my favorite. She is immaculate. Sigourney Weaver is probably the top, but then there's Clea Duvall, and I love everything Clea Duvall has done. I love it. Christina Ricci, of course, she I think is a lot of our idol right there. We all want to be Wednesday. And I think also who deserves to be in there is Chloe Grace Moretz. You may know her as Hit Girl from, oh, what the hell is it called? That superhero movie. Wow, I'm dumb. Kick-Ass! Yeah, it's Kick-Ass! The movie Kick-Ass! She was Hit Girl. But they did an American remake of Let the Right One In, calling it Let Me In, and it was super toned down. And I get it, because the original version is brutal, but then if you've ever read the book, even the Swedish version is toned down from the book. Like, they went gentle with that movie. And then the American movie, of course, is even more gentle, just because the American market isn't ready for the subject matter that was between the little girl vampire and her caretaker. But she did such an amazing job in that movie as that little vampire, where I think she just deserves to be in the Scream Queen category now. That's a hard question, because the concept, like, horror can be anything. Anything can be made horrible as long as humans can get to it, I feel. And we all have our own fears. So, and I think horror really is developing in that way, where there are a lot of people coming out with new ideas of horror. And I think what I would love to see in horror would be more humanity. And I know that sounds weird, but the humanity that's in horror movies now is all like sexual, and that's so frustrating because I feel like it's a distraction, and it's like, oh, watch this movie, there's naked people in there. I'm like, it's called the internet. We have naked people everywhere. That should not be a selling point of your movie. But that has been, and I think the one that kills me the most is Shudder. They totally gimmicked that mess, and I couldn't even finish it. I know it sounds horrible, but the American remake of Shudder, I couldn't even finish. The original one was everything, and all they did was throw a bunch of like bikini-clad women and a bunch of sexual tension, and they're like, watch this horrible movie, and I'm like, yeah, it's horrible, you know. But I wish that the concept of humanity would be more prominent in horror movies nowadays over sexuality, which is kind of funny, as I talked about how I love 80s slashers, and they were all about sexuality, but they were trying to teach lessons as well. Like, if you're the promiscuous type and if you break all the rules, they're gonna get ya, kind of thing. And that's what it was trying to do, and we don't have that mindset anymore, and I wish we were going somewhere else besides just all the sex in horror movies. And I know that sounds like such like an old lady thing to say, but I feel like that's all it's become, and I'm tired of seeing it now, because it's not scary, it's just annoying. There are so many amazing kills, and it's so hard to pick one. I will need help with this one. Okay. The one that always makes me laugh, and I don't know if it's my favorite, but it will always make me laugh, is in Friday the 13th. Oh, no, not that one. That one will always make me laugh too. But in Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors, which is the third one, the girl who gets killed by getting her head shoved in the television because Freddy becomes the TV, whenever the security guard walks back in to the room and sees her just hanging out of the TV by her head, I die. I just laugh, and I just think it's hilarious. And actually, I have another one, which I just thought about it because it was another super funny one. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the remake that came out, I think like in the early 2000s, I think it was. When that girl in the down jacket is in front of the car and he just starts chainsawing her in front of the car and the feathers go flying. I was in the movie theater when I was watching that film, and I died. I just died. I couldn't hold it in. I remember just like guffaw laughing because the feathers were flying, and I couldn't deal with it. It was just too funny. I have two favorite franchises. Number one, of course though, is Aliens, or the Alien franchise. Aliens, of course, is probably everyone's favorite. Alien 3 was cool. Alien 4, we all know the issue with that one. Completely wrong director. Absolutely wrong director. I will go into that one probably later if I ever do an Aliens video, which I'm sure I will. Completely wrong director for that one though. But even Prometheus I thought was amazingly done, and I want one of those little baby aliens. Oh my god, they're so cute. But then the next one, of course, is Hellraiser. Hellraiser is probably the most quotable franchise ever, I want to say. That I think so. I love quotes from Hellraiser. I love Pinhead. I think he is fantastic. The Cenobites are just like the coolest things ever. And I will always have a soft spot in my heart for Jason. Always. That That is a hard one too, because I have two favorite directors, and the first one is Del Toro. Guillermo del Toro does some of the most beautiful films I've ever seen. And he has a way when he directs, there's always a double meaning to his endings. And when you first think about it, it's a surface meaning, like, oh, okay, all's well that ends well. And then you think about it, and it's probably one of the most heart-wrenching realizations you'll ever get. And I think the two most painful ones that I remember was one, well, they're both kind of considered horror movies, I guess. They're both dark movies. One was Cronos, which is in Spanish, so it's subtitled, but it's an amazing film called Cronos, and the ending to that, when you think about it, it hurts. And then Pan's Labyrinth, I think it's been talked about many times. The ending to that one hurts too, if you really think about it. So yeah, he's a beautiful, beautiful directing style. My second favorite director is actually he is known best for his for J-horror, or Japanese horror, or Asian horror, however you want to call it. It's horror all, but you know. Anyway, his name is Takashi Miike, or Miike Takashi, if you want to be correct in how they say their names. He is a amazing director, and he's best known for Audition, which I think we all know and have been terrified by. That was an amazing movie. And Ichi the Killer, which that movie was actually one that made me physically uncomfortable. I felt ill with a lot of it, and it was amazing. He also has done One Missed Call, which is actually my ringtone, if you're familiar with that movie, or this, there's a movie for it, but then it was actually a mini-series as well, before, and the mini-series is really cool if you ever get a chance to watch it. So yeah, he is a director to really, really watch for. He's done so many things, and he is not afraid of crossing over into the American market. He actually partnered with Quentin Tarantino for Sukiyaki Western Django. I think it's been a long time since I've seen it, but that was a really fun, amazing movie. That was fun. It's a spaghetti western with Japanese actors, and Quentin Tarantino was a part of that. So yeah. That is the end of my horror movie tag. One of probably a few I'll do, because I always like these question lists, but it's also to help you get to know me a bit more about what I'm into. And I want to start branching into actually introducing horror and everything into my channel. So if you liked what you saw, you should hit the like button, and also this subscribe button would be cool too. I mean, they're so close to each other, you may as well just hit both. I mean, come on. But then also, don't forget that you can check me out on Facebook, on Etsy, where I sell my weird things. And of course, Instagram at Grotesca Media. I'll have all the links down below. I hope you had fun doing this, and until next time, don't be a dick, because society frowns upon it, and we just need to watch more horror movies and be happy. Okay, bye.